the other day. So we look at this question again. Y equals to 5 over x cubed. Y equals to 5 over x cubed. Okay. They tell you the x is actually 4. The x is actually 4. Then they ask you to find 5 over 4.01 cubed. Okay, so you know that the x is 4 means the x1 is 4. So if you look at this here, it is 4.01. So this must be your x2. This must be your x2. So you use this x2 minus the x1, which is 4, and you will get your delta x. Okay, that is what we have done the other day, and I have put this up in the video, the third video. Okay, now today we are going to find this one. Estimate the value of this thing, this value. Of course, this value you can always use the calculator and you calculate this value, but that is not what they want. What they want is you have to find the approximate value of this number, right, using dy dx. Okay, now again, we look at this x equals to 4, and the x here is 3.98 cubed. 3.98 cubed. So if you want to find the delta x, you have to use 3.98 minus the 4 here, which is negative 0.02. And this is a negative, right? Negative number. That means the value has decreased, or the change, the small change is a negative number. Okay, so let us look at this one. Okay, now the question is y equals to 5 over x cubed. Now this is the basic function that you need to find the dy dx. Why want to find the dy dx? Because you have to equate this dy dx with the delta y over delta x. Okay, so this is the function, and this is the value that is given to you. This is actually your x2. You see x cubed here, then 3.98 cubed. So that means that the value of x is 3.98. But which value, whether it is x1 or x2? So this value is actually your x2. Or which one is the x1? x1 is given in the question. X equals to 4. Okay, so far any question or not? Can you compare the number, the value that you need to estimate with the function? Right, 5, the function has 5. 3.98 cubed, that is the x cubed, right? So the value of x must be 3.98. Okay, any question?
No, teacher.
Okay, no. Then we go on to the next one. So we look at the original value of x that is given here. X equals to 4. X equals to 4, that means the x1 is 4. So when the x1 equals to 4, what is the y1? Now you see why we should find the value of y1. The reason is you want to find y2, you have to use y1 plus delta x. So the y1 is actually important. In all previous questions, you are never asked to find the y1. They just ask you find delta x, that's all. But this type of question, you have to be very careful. You have to find both the x1 and the y1. Not find x1. You are given the x1 actually. So you have to know the values of both x1 and y1. Right? So you know you have to find the y1. Okay, now what is the next step then? What's the next step? The next step is you have to use y1 plus delta y, right? So you have to find what are your delta x and your delta y. Okay, so the next step is to find your delta x, delta y. Okay, next step. Okay, so we know that my x2 is 3.98, x2 is 3.98, and what is the value of y2? So of course, as I've said just now, your y2, you cannot just use your calculator calculate out the value of y2, but you can calculate the y2 using the calculator for checking purposes. For checking purpose, you can use the calculator, but for this question, you have to find the delta y. So since you don't know the y2, you don't start with y2, you start with delta y. So we have to find the value of delta y. Now, in order to find delta y, you must know delta x. So delta y, you just keep it aside first. Don't know how to find delta y, just keep it. So what is the delta x? Delta x is your x2 minus your x1. x2 minus your x1, which is negative 0.02. So this is your x1, y1, x2, y2 don't know yet. This is your delta x. So with this, you can find your delta y first, right? Don't find y2 first, find delta y first. So how to find your delta y? Delta y is linked to the delta x by differentiation, by dy dx, using this formula here. Delta y, delta x will dy dx. So the next step will be you should actually differentiate. You should actually find the dy dx. Okay, but then y2, which is this value here, y2. Okay, when x is this y2. Y2 is y1 plus delta y. So what is the next step? Yes, next step is to find the dy dx, because we are going to equate the dy dx with delta y delta x. So find dy dx. So from here, y equals to 5 over x cubed, you differentiate and you get this is actually negative 3 lah. You bring down the negative 3 become negative 15. Then the 3 become negative 3 become negative 4. So that's how you get your dy dx. Now after getting your dy dx, it is expressed in terms of x. So you have to change this to number. What is your x? X is 4. So by substituting x equals to 4, you have 2, 5, 6. So this is the value of dy dx. Okay. Now what is the next step? Can anyone tell me what's the next step?
The delta y over delta x equals to
very
dy.
good, very good. So the next step is delta y over delta x equals to dy dx. Correct. Delta y over delta x equals to dy dx. Then you substitute everything inside. So what we have been doing so far is just prepare the ingredients. This delta y is how much? Delta x is how much? X is how much? Y1 is how much? And so we just prepare the ingredients. Now is the time to substitute everything inside this formula. So we substitute inside this formula. So substitute delta x, substitute with negative 0.02. dy dx is negative 15 over x to the power of 4. Actually, 15 over x to the power of 4, we have found out the value here. This one. We have found out the value here, which is actually the value of dy dx. Okay, so this value can substitute inside. Yes, so we substitute inside. 15 over 256, and the negative 0.02 you bring to the other side. Bring to the other side. So when this negative multiply with the negative delta x, it becomes a positive number. It becomes a positive number. So my delta y is a positive number here. Right? This number. Okay. So you can use your calculator, right? You can use your calculator, calculate this number here, delta y, positive 0.01719. So what is the next step then? What is the next step after getting your delta y?
Sub into the y2 minus y2 equals to y.
Yes, very good. You can follow what is going on, right? So after getting your delta y, you put y2 is y1 plus delta y. Y1 already found out earlier here, put inside. Delta y found out here, put inside. So we find that this value of y2 is 0.079295. Okay, so we tell them 5 over 3.98 cube is actually this number, 0.7930. We give 4 significant figures. This number here we round off to 4 significant figures. Okay, in SPM we need 4 significant figure only. So normally you when you calculate more than 4. Final answer, you round off to 4 significant figure. Okay, so this is approximation. Approximation is actually estimate the approximate value of